Heart attacks and strokes together are the number one cause of death worldwide. High cholesterol, high blood pressure, high sugar, and smoking are generally known to be the causes. However, cholesterol is not the cause of heart attack and stroke. It is one of the biggest misconceptions in the history of medical science. Welcome to my YouTube channel on cholesterol and heart disease. I am Dr. Sanjay Kumar Shrestha. Cholesterol phobia has taken hold of our society, and it's time to unpack this misconception. For decades, we've been told that high cholesterol is the villain behind heart attacks and strokes, leading to a widespread panic. Medical guidelines have set a normal range for cholesterol levels, and anything above that sends people into a frenzy. But here's the truth. Cholesterol is not the enemy we've been led to believe. It's essential for our bodies, playing a crucial role in hormone production, vitamin D formation, and above all, for the maintenance of the cell membrane integrity of the inner lining of blood vessels. On the contrary, it is the deficiency of cholesterol in the cell membrane that make up the inner lining of blood vessels or arteries that leads to atherosclerosis, heart attack, and stroke. Let me explain what this means. Just like water pipes carry water to different parts of our house, arteries carry blood to different organs of our body. Just like the water pipes, the inner lining of arteries can be damaged and clogged by plaque buildup. The process by which plaque builds up occurs is known as atherosclerosis. When these plaques grow and become bigger, the arteries are partially blocked, and one may develop chest pain or heaviness when the demand of blood is higher in the heart muscles, especially while doing heavy works or climbing uphill. If these plaques erode or rupture, the blood flowing over the plaques clot and clog the arteries. When the arteries of the heart are completely clogged with blood clots, the blood carrying oxygen and nutrients cannot reach the heart muscle, and severe chest pain occurs. This is heart attack. If the clogged arteries are not opened up immediately, the heart muscle dies and the heart will remain weak for the rest of the life. Sometimes, when the heart muscles do not receive oxygen, bizarre electrical activity develops in the heart muscles, resulting in immediate standstill of heart muscles and sudden death. Similarly, when brain arteries are clogged with blood clot, stroke and paralysis result. Now, let me explain how these plaques build up inside the arteries. Picture this. Our body is made up of around 30 trillion cells, each surrounded by a complex membrane. This membrane is made up of phospholipids, a type of fat molecules. They are very fluid in nature and can easily break up, melt in heat, and solidify in cold. The cholesterol, another type of fat molecule, regularly interpositioned between phospholipid molecules, is what maintains the normal integrity of these cell membranes. The inner lining of our arteries is a remarkable one-cell layer that faces constant mechanical stress of blood pressure and biochemical stress of various injurious chemicals, especially sugar-related compounds, known as AGEs or advanced glycation end products, circulating in the blood. These compounds are known to be extremely harmful to the inner lining of arteries. These mechanical and biochemical stresses result in damage and dysfunction of the inner lining of blood vessels. Our body has evolved in such a way that whenever there is any damage to our tissues, a self-healing process commences through activation of a special reaction known as inflammatory reaction. For example, picture this. When there is a cut in our skin, initially there is bleeding, then clot formation to stop bleeding, and finally heals by formation of a scar. Similarly, when there is breakdown or damage of the inner lining of our arteries, inflammatory reaction ensues with various inflammatory cells and chemicals and heals with scar formation, which are the plaque buildups. Therefore, to prevent breakdown and damage and maintain integrity of the cell membrane of the inner lining of our arteries, a continuous supply of phospholipids and cholesterol are required. While every nucleated cell can produce their own cholesterol, the inner lining of arteries requires much more due to its unique stresses and vulnerability. In addition to its internal source, the inner lining of arteries relies on external sources of cholesterol and phospholipids that circulates in the blood. These cholesterols come from our food as well as from the liver. Even if we do not eat any cholesterol containing food, liver manufactures sufficient amount of cholesterol. Because cholesterols and phospholipids are fat molecules, they do not dissolve in the water component of the blood. So, the special proteins are required for their transport. LDL, a low-density lipoprotein, and HDL, a high-density lipoprotein, are merely vehicles for transporting these essential fat molecules. Contrary to popular belief, LDL isn't the villain we've been led to believe, and HDL isn't the hero. Then, why are we told by doctors that high cholesterol is bad? The story of cholesterol being labeled as a villain began over a century ago with the work of a German physician and pathologist, Rudolf Virchow, who observed cholesterol on the microscope in the plaques of the inner lining of arteries of hearts of people who had died of heart attacks. Think about it. Firemen are always at the scene of a fire, but that doesn't mean they start them. Similarly, just because cholesterol is seen in the plaques of the inner lining of arteries, it doesn't mean they are the culprit. There are also many other types of cells, fibers, and calcium in these plaques. Fast forward to 1948, when the famous Framingham Heart Study, one of the largest and longest running studies in cardiology, revealed that high cholesterol, along with high sugar, smoking, and high blood pressure significantly increase the risk of heart attacks. However, the study's data also reveals something interesting. When the blood cholesterol levels were plotted on graphs against those who did and did not develop heart attacks, two overlapping bell-shaped curves were found. There was a huge overlap of these curves. This means that many people with high cholesterol levels, according to the definitions of medical guidelines, never actually experienced heart attacks or chest pain. And many people considered to have normal cholesterol levels, according to the same definitions, did develop chest pain or heart attack. Therefore, in fact, the correlation between heart attacks and cholesterol levels was not very strong. The risk only became dramatically higher when cholesterol levels were around 300 mg per deciliter. This extreme elevation is usually seen in people with a genetic condition called familial hypercholesterolemia or FH. This condition is either genetically transmitted from parents to children or sometimes develops due to mutation related to certain genes. In these individuals, the cells lack sufficient LDL receptors on their membranes. These are the gateways through which cholesterol in the blood is taken up by the cells lining the blood vessels where it is needed for repair and maintenance of cell membrane integrity. When these LDL receptors are missing or insufficient, cholesterol cannot enter the cells and remains in the bloodstream, leading to extremely high levels of cholesterol seen in lab reports. But here's the irony. While cholesterol builds up in the blood, the cells, especially those lining the inner walls of arteries end up with too little cholesterol. Without enough cholesterol to maintain the strength and structure of cell membranes, they break down. That triggers inflammation and eventually leads to plaque buildups, the real cause of heart attacks and strokes. This brings up an important possibility. The Framingham Heart Study may have conflated two very different groups of people: those with familial hypercholesterolemia and those without. Different studies estimate that familial hypercholesterolemia affects about 1 in 200 to 1 in 300 people, although this varies widely between populations. For example, among French Canadians, it can be as high as 1 in 80. People with this condition therefore develop plaques in the inner lining of arteries because of insufficient cholesterol and other fat molecules in their membranes, setting them apart from the general population. To wrap up, I'd like to say that blaming cholesterol as the main cause of heart attacks and strokes is one of the biggest misunderstandings in medical history. In reality, cholesterol is an essential building block of our cell membranes. Without enough cholesterol, especially in the cells lining our arteries, these membranes can't repair themselves from the wear and tear caused by biochemical and mechanical stress, leading to inflammatory reaction and healing by plaque formation. The real danger comes when these plaques erode or rupture, leading to clots that can block arteries, causing heart attacks or strokes. The famous Framingham Heart Study may have mixed together two different groups of people: those with a genetic condition called familial hypercholesterolemia and those without. This may have led to misleading conclusions about cholesterol and heart disease. I believe this study needs to be reanalyzed with this distinction in mind. So, should you worry about your cholesterol numbers? Only if your total cholesterol is extremely high, around 300 mg per deciliter, which is likely to be due to familial hypercholesterolemia. I will be sharing more on that condition in one of my upcoming videos. Finally, I want to leave you with this important advice. The best way to protect yourself from heart attacks and strokes is to keep your arteries healthy. That means reducing the mechanical and biochemical stresses on the inner lining of your arteries. The two biggest ways to do that are by controlling your blood pressure and blood sugar. Start by keeping your salt intake very low from a young age to maintain healthy blood pressure. Also aim for little or no sugar, as excess sugar leads to harmful compounds that damage the inner lining of arteries. Thank you for watching. Please share this video if you found it helpful. If you have any questions or would like to discuss this further, feel free to email me at the following email. Thank you.